Oh, hello. In today's video, we've got some news. Over on Warcom, they've given us an Orc Wrecka crew rules preview. You can read the full article in the link down below, but I've picked out the relevant pieces for your consumption. So, the first thing I picked out in the article is what I'm calling a team of two tribes. I'll read the relevant section for you. Formed by an ad hoc alliance of tank busters and breaker boys, Wrecka crews are compact teams of elite orcs bent on explosive destruction with powerful, if inaccurate, rocket launchers, brutal and pneumatic knuckle busters, and tank hammers with explosive heads that can be as lethal to their operator as they are to the enemy. They are bound more by competition and cooperation, while the tank busters obsess over the biggest, flashiest targets. The breaker boys regard them as kill-stealing cheaters. The Wrecka's ability to smash straight through walls makes them shockingly good. Operatives for missions where speed is more important than stealth. Shockingly good operatives for missions where speed is more important than stealth, especially in the ruined cityscapes on Volcus. Breaker Boy fighters, of whom you can take up to 5, can all knock holes in terrain with their smash hammers. Very well read, me. But, well, no, because I inserted a comma that wasn't really there. Let's analyse this a little bit. So, it's clear to me that this is a kit that was designed for Warhammer 40,000. I'm not saying that as an overly negative thing, okay, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a dual kit when it eventually comes out that makes 2 distinct units as far as 40k is concerned, the Tank Busters and the Breaker Boys. So therefore, I would assume you're going to get enough pieces in the box to make a squad of 5 plus the knob, right? So 5 Tank Buster Orcs plus the knob, or 5 Breaker Boys plus the knob, right? In Kill Team, we're going to mix these together to form a single kill team, the Wrecka crew. Do you know, I've just had a thought. It wouldn't surprise me if, when we actually get this kit in hand, it's a squad of 5 Tank Busters or Breaker Boys, and then almost on a separate sprue, you have the knob and the 2 squigs. Like a 40k sprue and a kill team sprue. Just a thought. I'd be really interested to see if it comes out that way. So yeah, we're going to mix these together to form a single kill team, the Wrecka crew. But you're going to... The fact then that you can skew to go all Breaker Boys, and presumably you can skew to go all Tank Busters, it does make me worry this isn't going to be a comfy one-box team. Now, you know, read the rules, and it might be one of those things where, well, technically, yes, you could take 5 Breaker Boy fighters, but actually you never would. Have to see how the rules pan out. But if they actually do make it so that, you know, there are some scenarios and some maps where you'd want to do that, then I'm assuming there's going to be some scenarios and some maps where you want to take Tank Busters and shoot ranged weapons, right? So maybe this is one of those teams where if you want to go deep with them, you're going to need to pick up a second box of Orcs. It's going to be interesting. We'll have to see the full rules, and we'll have to learn the opportunity cost. Knock holes in terrain with their smash hammers does imply that you knock a hole and then the hole is there. So it's not going to be so much like the Breacher Boy in Commandos where he can move through the terrain, but it'll be more like the ability to sort of make a hole and then have your orcs use that hole themselves, which would be quite interesting. Then the next thing is they share a rule with us. They share the rule Wrecka Rampage, so I'll read that. The sound of explosions, the acrid stench of smoke, and the screams of battle drive Wrecka crews forwards to ever more destructive acts. Whenever a friendly Wrecka crew operative is shooting, fighting, or retaliating in the roll attack dice step, for each attack dice result of a 6 that you retain, you gain 1 Wrecka point. You can spend up to 3 of your Wrecka points, unless you're a bomb squig. For each point you spend in this way, retain 1 of your fails and normal success instead of discarding it. You cannot have more than 6 Wrecka points at once. If you start an action with 6 Wrecka points, you can't gain any more during that action. Okay. So you have a pool of Wrecka points that's capped at 6. Are they capped at 6 entirely so you can track them on a single 6-sided dice? Potentially, right? when you roll a 6, you gain a Wrecka point. You can spend a Wrecka point to turn a miss into a hit, either in shooting, fighting, or retaliating. Okay, and you can only spend 3 per action. Now, this is really interesting. Straight off the cuff, I don't like the ability. Because it's the very definition of win more. Now, obviously, sometimes you will roll a statistically average number of 6s, and then this is actually a really fun ability. It just smooths your probability a little bit, makes it a little bit more likely that you'll hit than not, and that's pretty cool. But for anyone that watched I'm going to have to mention it again, the World Championships of Warhammer, the Kill Team Final, you will be aware that we're playing a dice game, and that sometimes dice are really swingy. So if you're rolling really hot, then you get points to turn the few dice that aren't rolling well into also hits, which does feel like these could be really oppressive. If you're rolling more than a statistically probable number of 6s, then you're gonna also get points to... It's just, oppressive is the right word. Meanwhile, if you're rolling like awfully, which happens from time to time, right? And you don't see very many 6s, you might feel like you're not interacting with your team's special... Now, they could have a second special rule, right? So, off the bat, I feel a little bit lukewarm, shall we say, about this ability. That said, something that Oro pointed out to me on the Discord, it does incentivize shooting at anything ever, even an obscured target, right? So you will note, right? It's when you retain a 6, not when you retain a crit. What's the difference? Well, if you're shooting an obscured target, you cannot crit, but you can still roll a 6, and that's a normal hit. So you can retain that 6, and you get a Wrecka point. So it encourages you to run around like a maniac, discharging your weapons willy-nilly, which is dead orky, right? You know, orcs famously like loud noises and explosions, and so firing all your guns off at something that, even though you've got a very small chance of actually accomplishing anything, well, you get rewarded for this orky behaviour by generating Wrecka points, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to look at tanked up. Now, actually, those of you that have been paying attention, we've seen this rule before. This was leaked to us, not leaked to us, this was deliberately revealed to us by the fine people at the Warhammer marketing team as part of the initial preview when we first learned that we were going to receive Brutal and Cunning. And so, I'll read it. Tanked up. Wrecka crews are empowered by the thrill of explosive combat, lending them fresh impetus as they undertake their murderous rampages. Whenever a friendly Wrecka crew operative, excluding the bomb squig, that has an engage order performs a fight or shoot action, excluding guard, add 1 to its APL stat until the start of its next activation. So, just to add on to what I was saying before about you being encouraged to take shots, even if those shots are unlikely to do very much, this is another way in which you're being encouraged. So not only are you potentially going to generate some Wrecka points, but you also effectively get that APL refunded, right? Enabling you to just run around shooting willy-nilly, doing things that don't otherwise make tactical sense because they make loud noises and involve violence, which is dead orky, right? A demolition job. So finally, we get a single firefight ploy. I'll read it. Demolition job. Should a prime target present itself, the Wrecka crew will unleash their combined destructive might, demolishing anything in the vicinity. Use this firefight ploy after a friendly Wrecka crew operative performs the fight or shoot action just before incapacitated operatives are removed, if any. Place one of your demolition markers within the target's control range if it's using a blast weapon, the primary target. Whenever a friendly Wrecka crew operative, excluding the bomb squig, is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against an operative that's within 3 inches of the marker, you can spend a Wrecka point for free, even if you haven't any. In the ready step of the next strategy phase, remove the marker. So we see, it looks pretty good. it shows us that we're going to have access to another source of Wrecka points, which is a great thing. I think, you know, and if there are a few more sources of Wrecka points, then some of my misgivings that it's only when you roll sixes, and sometimes you can just go games where those sixes are eluding you. If there are other sources of Wrecka points sort of threaded throughout the list, then I can actually think Wrecka points is a pretty good ability. Okay. This looks like it could be a great ploy that you'd use quite often. It's really hard to rate the ploys until we've seen all the ploys. Obviously on Saturday all will be revealed. Until then we are grasping in the darkness at shadows and phantoms. Good. So, my final thoughts. You know, I'm actually weirdly interested in these guys. It's weird because I'm not an orc person. I've never really felt a deep kinship with orcs. I don't like shouting. I don't really like violence. And orcs are the shouty, violent faction, right, of thuggish hooligans. And yet, for whatever reason, maybe I will be the person next to you enthusiastically warring at the next tournament. I don't know. They seem really cool. Can't explain it. I have an urge to do the orcs. I think maybe it's the simplicity of using them, the fact that they know what they're about, and they sound like they're going to be a very honest team that just wants to go forth and get stuck in. And that appeals to me. The simplicity of the playstyle appeals to me. Also, I've never painted an orc. So maybe I should paint, you know, my first orc. Learn how to do green skin. It can't be that hard. So maybe you'll be some orcs from me in the near future, which is a weird one. But yeah, there we go. And I can scream and shout and hurl my characters up the field. Orcs. Wow. Here we go. Or, here we go, and so forth. I don't have the charisma. I'm a very charismatic person, but I don't have orky charisma. I always feel like orc players have a certain personality type, which I manifestly don't have, but nevertheless, I find myself drawn to the team. Can you be a polite orc player? There's the question. Can one both play orcs and be polite? I want to say thank you to all my members, subscribers, and supporters who, you know, for some reason throw money at whatever this is. Splendid. Especially Compendium Lover, who throws a simply absurd quantity of money every single month. But for his trouble, he does get a shout out in the comments in the video every single time, or at least every time I remember. If you're interested in becoming a member, there's a membership button somewhere on YouTube. And there's also a membership link in the description. That'll take you to an extra video that will give you the old sales pitch for the membership. If you're not subscribed, just subscribe. Just subscribe, right? Recently turned my live streams onto subscriber only mode, so if you want to chat in a live stream, you have to be subscribed. It's free, helps me out, doesn't cost you anything. Do that, and then like, comment, let me know if you can be a polite orc player. These kinds of things. Alright, see you next time, guys. Looks like we're going to get some rattling news later this week as well, which will be amazing. Really fascinated to see how they're going to work. So I'll see you then. Cheery bye, have a good one. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye.